Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer, and she was like,
The first one. Yeah, that's good. That's it. Call the board. August 8th, Tennessee Board of Commissioners meeting. Welcome everyone. We have 2 people signed up to speak. And, first thing on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Any kind of motion we do that? Make that motion. Okay, we have a motion, we have any discussion? No discussion, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. Opposed by like sign, motion carries. Also entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. That motion. Motion, we have any discussion? No discussion, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. Opposed by like sign, the motion carries. Moving on to public comments. We have Mr. Luther Jones.
Good evening. I understand that it's on the agenda tonight to vote on the changes to the solicitation ordinance in the town. When you passed the original ordinance, I agreed with it. I supported you on it. I do not support you or agree with you on these changes, and let me enumerate why. The first part is you've got the elimination of where you can be within the municipal limits. Basically, what you're doing is you're eliminating every one of the main entrances into town and the entirety of the central part of town. What we're doing there is we're not solving the problem. We're simply pushing it out of the way. We're making sure that we don't see the indigent people, the people who need help, the people who are homeless. We're simply putting them in a closet, cutting out the light and saying, if we don't see them, we don't have to worry about them. And that's what we're doing by doing this part of this action. We need to be looking at what we need to do to solve the problem, not just pushing it aside. Secondly, there is already a ordinance in the state about obstructing traffic. We do not need one locally. I realize what we're trying to do there. We're trying to say that it is a way of giving some teeth to the police chief and the police to enforce what's going on. I understand that. But here's another problem with that. In this, we're saying that the police chief then has the choice of whether he wants to prosecute that. If you are detaining someone and arresting them, it should never be a choice of an officer once they are arrested as to whether they are charged or not. It should go to the court system. Okay, the court system is what makes that decision, not the local police chief. Now, I have nothing against Chief Hatton, but at the same time,
forever.
what's that?
I said, we won't have them forever.
I have no earthly idea who the next local police chief is going to be 2 years from now, 10 years from now. And this is a bad idea. What you're doing is you're putting You're putting judicial power in the hands of a police officer, and a police officer is not supposed to have that judicial power. He is to have enforcement power, not judicial power. The old courthouse over here has a statue on top of it. It's Justice standing there with the scales and the sword. I want you to take a look at that sometime. That statue does not have a blindfold on. It's one of the few in the entire country that does not have a blindfold. Because what it does is you have the scales of justice and you have the sword, which is the police I've moved down here, to enforce that. But you also have the fact that you can see there has to be mercy. We need to show mercy to these people that have problems. We need to provide help, not just run them out of town.
Thank you.
My name is Sarah Hirsch and I live on Schuling Street in downtown Sylva, and I 100% agree with you, Luther. Thank you for saying it so eloquently. I am concerned about and in opposition to the proposed changes to chapter 3014 of the Sylva Code. And I have read them carefully, and I see that these proposed changes are redundant, potentially harmful, and impossible to police, as you just said. Nothing in the red print section solve any current problems that I am aware of as a downtown resident. Rather, they appear to be difficult to define and far more difficult to administer. 20 feet from the curb on main downtown thoroughfares, why? And how would that even work? Whom does it protect? Which municipal parts exactly of highways 23, 107, and Grindstaff Cove Road are you thinking about that isn't already covered by the existing ordinances? Do you have a particular spot in mind? Because I'd love to hear that if anyone cares to comment. And furthermore, this protection is from whom are we being protected? It's already pretty obvious that this ordinance change is designed to further target and complicate the lives of our most vulnerable residents, those who may be unhoused and down on their luck. Our current ordinances fully protect Sylva residents from aggressive and intrusive panhandling. Why do we need to make it even more restrictive? And what problem is this fix designed to resolve? If this is passed, I pity the SPD who will have to monitor and respond to such non-issues as a person standing in the road or near the road. While it's fine to have Chief Hatton make accommodations and issue waivers for special circumstances, some people will ultimately be charged with a class 3 misdemeanor who were probably out of confusion, less than any intent to commit a crime. And this would carry both jail time and a pretty hefty fee, especially hefty for those who are impoverished. Please reconsider and vote against these red letter changes that will help no one and potentially harm many. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, yes, sir. Come on.
Thank you for allowing this time for public comment. And I also agree with Luther's comments and my wife Sarah's. Jeffrey Hirsch, I live on Schulman Street downtown. And I just have some questions, particularly about the clause that deals with the 20-foot rule from the curb and all these pointed areas. I mean, what if I want to have a yard sale in one of those areas? And I set up chairs on the sidewalk. Am I in violation of this ordinance? Because I'm soliciting people to come purchase items at my yard sale. Or what if my grandchildren want to set up a lemonade stand and they have chairs and tables on the edge of the road to try and draw, and they're soliciting? Is that violation? What if I want to have a car wash, perhaps at the church on Grindstaff Cove Road for charity? And I have kids, signs sitting out there, that kind of thing, soliciting business for the car wash. Am I in violation? Or if I'm a downtown business owner and I want to have a special sale, and so I send someone out with a sandwich board to walk up and down the sidewalk and try to get people to turn down to my business or my in violation. It's just, it seems like that clause, among other things, creates some problems. What do you think about it? Thank you.
Any first call?
Afternoon. So much for listening to me today. Actually, I agree with everybody you said. Like that was beautiful. So when I first saw the sidewalk ordinance, I was actually really excited because it said it was going to be an amendment to it. And so if anyone knows me, I have had to deal with sidewalks for a while in my business. And so I was excited that maybe this was going to help small businesses be able to have sidewalks in our town and help our sidewalks. And so I'm like excited, like I'm scrolling, I'm like, yes, it's going to be something good, right? It's about what you're poor. So listen, what? I work every day with my community to feed people mental health, get them services. This is literally everything against we as Sylva town believe in. Like, are we gonna have like rainbow spikes because we want to be inclusive to pride, but we're still gonna keep all the homeless people out? I don't want that. Like, I'm not here for that. And so what I really want to bring up is the harm reduction piece. So I love what you all said, what they said before me is, how are you gonna even enforce this? But what I want to say is this breaks my heart for this SPD because we won't always have jihad. Sorry, I know that people said it before me, but the other day I got an email from the Sylva Police Department. I got an email from Galadriel, and she was letting me know I don't really do well with surprises, right? And so she was letting me know that they were going to have a half flag up for that our road, Savannah Drive, would be closed, right? That would be like a little bit more limited than usual. And I was like, oh man, like you're actually making me really like you all. I say that as a joke, but I'm serious. Like this is literally, if we're gonna talk about taking care of our community and taking, like, how are we gonna know who's poor? So one of them was, if you're poor, you have to say in good faith that you're poor. How are you gonna ask me if I'm poor? What's good faith of being poor? Is it that you show your my social security, that I show my money in my bank? What is poor? And then the second part is that you can write a letter to attest it. And you have 30 days and tell me a person who's poor that is going to be able to have the resources. Are they going to go to the SPD and say, hey, can I have a piece of paper and write this letter? Who's going to give us? We already don't have resources. We don't have a homeless shelter, and we don't have a homeless shelter, so let's just push them out. Because we don't want to see. What does this look like for us? This is beyond. And so I want to say, not only am I ashamed of it, that here I was excited that we were going to have a sidewalk ordinance that was going to help out to make our beautiful sidewalks better, to help our town. So Brad, please vote no. Someone on this board, please vote no to this. Because this is disgusting. And if you really want to help our community and actually put in the work, this is how you do it.
Everyone that has signed up to speak. Moving on to reports. I don't really have anything grand to report today other than I would like to follow back to something that Luther Jones brought up to the board sometime back of this. About the survey marker that's at our new bathrooms, that is the center marker of town. Town of Sylva was first created. It was created from that center point in the shape of an octagon. And there's a story that tells all that, and Luther knows that story. And I have asked him to write us up a presentation of something we could put on a little sign at that marker at our bathrooms for a point of interest. That this is the center of town. This is where the town of Sylva first got created. The center of this. So I thought, a little plaque might have. Okay. Yes, ma'am. I do want to fall back on that. I'd like to get the board's consensus about maybe having Luther put together something to present to us. Would everybody be okay with that? Sure. Yes. Good. Okay. So Luther, if you put some concentration on that, I'd be grateful to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have. Mary?
I just want to
mention the skateboard park again. That's always on my mind. Mark Watson Park, where the garage is, I really want to see a skate park there. So I'm just putting it out to Jackson County that I hope that the commissioners will decide another spot for the things that are housed in there. Hope that the garage will come down. I hope that the town of Sylva, the rec department, and the county commissioners can work together to see this happen. I was really encouraged this week because I received another phone call of a financial contributor that is really hoping this project comes to fruition soon because they have some funds they really want to throw this way. So just putting that out there. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you. Brett?
I just want to share that you guys may remember that a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, Kirk Collins came and talked to us about the styrofoam recycling effort. And I've been in some more talks with him about that. I think there's potential for progress there to make that a much larger scale thing, hopefully with the county involved at staff recycling centers. There's been no commitment from the county or anything, but I just want to let everybody know that some wheels are turning on that. I was compelled by what he shared with us about styrofoam recycling, and it seems like that may be moving forward. So
I'd like to see the town support that as well.
yeah, I have trouble figuring out how, because we don't have.
We've got no money to give them right now. so-
There's that.
We're broke.
There is that as well.
But I'd love to help somehow.
All right, I'll look in on it.
I have nothing to report today.
Good.
I also have nothing. I'm hearing good feedback about the Matt Stillwell concert already. I'm seeing it advertised by different groups, including some churches, and so that's on the 24th, and I think that's gonna be a great event. But hearing good feedback. A lot of people I think are excited about it. And so I was glad to hear that. I think that's it.
All right, so our city manager is out with COVID. And so some people are wearing some new hats. Amanda's gonna give us a rendition of manager's report that covers a couple of pertinent items.
Just two things. One that Commissioner Brown mentioned, just a reminder that the Bridge Park ribbon cutting and Matt Stillwell concert are combined on August the 25th. So just encourage everyone to attend that. And the new restroom project now has an anticipated completion date of August the 30th. So hopefully that stays on track for weather and move along on that.
Thank you. That's pretty much the reports, and moves us on to new business. We have this ordinance amendment for streets and sidewalks. Bring it up for one discussion. I'd entertain a motion that would approve the ordinance amendment as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion. Do we have any discussion?
I would like to ask Commissioner Estridge to consider revoking his motion so that we can hold a public hearing on the topic. I know in the last meeting, we discovered that we may not be required to have a public hearing, but I think we should have a public hearing since we're talking about a substantive change to an ordinance. And typically, we do have public hearings for ordinances. And I believe this is a rather substantive change and we should have a public hearing. Consider revoking your motion so that I could make one for a public hearing.
I don't see why.
Agreed. You would need to revoke your motion. I can't make a motion because you made a motion. Just made it faster than I was ready for.
It wouldn't hurt to talk about it. So I can provoke that motion.
Thank you, Brian.
I'd like to make a motion that we hold a public hearing on the proposed.
Hold on one second. You made the motion, Blitz, originally? Okay, I need everybody to talk in their microphones too, please. Okay, Brad, Blitz, you're rescinding your motion?
Yes.
And I motion that we hold a public hearing on the proposed changes to the solicitation ordinance.
All right, so we have a motion to hold a public hearing on changes on the solicitation ordinance. Do we comment on the motion?
We also flew past discussion, just for what, I don't know exactly how that's supposed to work, but we just went right to the motioning.
So normally you have a motion and then discussion about the motion.
Yeah.
So. So now we're having a discussion about your motion.
Yes.
Can we still discuss?
Yes, absolutely. We have a motion on the table to have a public hearing about this, and we're in the point of having a discussion about it. And we did discuss it at the last meeting, and Eric and Amanda went off and talked about the fact that we legally did not have to have a public hearing. We've already had a public hearing on the solicitation orders committee. This is a change. So, but if y'all want to have one anyway, just for the fun of it, we can do that.
Yeah, I don't think.
I want to just clarify, I wouldn't say it's for the fun of it so much, it's talking about a substantive change, and I don't. It could be just that I don't fully understand, but we have an ordinance in place and we're able to, in order to have that ordinance in place, we have to have a public hearing. And if we're going to make a rather substantive change, it would seem very appropriate to have a public hearing because it's nearing a very different ordinance, almost as if we're passing a new ordinance functionally. It just seems irresponsible to me, and of course it's up to the board, but to bypass an ordinance under that premise that we don't have to have one.
I don't have a problem with that. We could schedule a public hearing at our next work session.
No, we don't do public hearings at a work session. It would have to be at the evening meeting on September 12th.
So that's another month. Okay. So we have a motion to schedule a public hearing. That discussion, all in favor of having the public hearing on September the 12th, raise your hand, say aye. Opposed by like sign, the motion carries. Moving on. The Economic Development Committee, rules and procedures. We'll entertain a motion that we approve the resolution to establish the Town of Sylva's Economic Development Committee, approve the committee rules and procedures. I'll make that motion. We have a motion. Do we have any discussion?
I have a question about section 5 voting forum.
Okay.
I'm just looking for an example of something that they might be voting on. I'm assuming they're voting on something to recommend to our board.
Yes,
Is that,
they have only recommending authority to this board, and they would have to agree on what they want to make as a recommendation to us.
and when you had that in mind, like, can I have an example of what that might look like?
For example, an economic development board might review some ordinance we have that might hinder development, or that might make developing worse or easier or something, you know. They may want to make a recommendation to the board that we consider reviewing this ordinance for this particular reason. They're business-minded people that would look for things like that to bring to us, that they would have to agree on what they bring to us.
I just kind of felt like there might be some overlap with the planning board and this board on suggestions like that.
There
So
could
I
be.
just wondered how we would play that out.
There could be, there's ordinances that would have to come to us from the planning board. There's ordinances that if they wanted to make a change, we might also have to have the planning board review it as well.
Yeah.
But there's nobody on the planning board looking for things that are hindering us.
That's my only question. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. So we have a motion. Yeah, make that motion. Okay. More discussion. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like sign, and the motion carries. Last thing is, entertain a motion to approve the request to serve alcohol at the market fundraiser on September the 7th.
I'll make that motion.
Right, we have a motion. Do we have any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the like sign, motion carries. And Brad, I would approve, entertain a motion that we adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. And we stand adjourned.
Thank you.